Hi everyone. This is Miss Mick here, and I want to share something that I started writing. I had gotten permission with a very good friend of mine that I actually call him like my brother. You know, we jokingly say brother from another mother. So I wanted to start kind of writing. There's a lot of things that happened with the COVID-19 and the Black Lives Matter movement that was really just making me sad and frustrated with the world. And so I decided that I wanted to write a story. It has some real things in there about myself and relationships that I have with other people. There are some names that have been changed for privacy reasons, and then there are some people that are real people in my life, but they've been kind of blended into one character. So it is, like kind of like a real story, but then of course, a little bit changed and merged as storytelling has to go sometimes. So here's a little sample of what I would call my first chapter. In the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, I'm reminded of those that I have stayed connected to in my life. I am one of those people who think everything happens for a reason. The fall of 2020 will mark 26 years since I met my soul sibling. That is what I decided to call us, jokingly. As we always say, my brother from another mother. C and I always had this similar understanding of life. Just a simple look and nod of our heads from day one. I wish I could say that we have other things in common or that we have had this easy-going, perfect life. However, that would be a lie. We were born in different cities, survived dysfunction and poverty from adults who loved us, but struggled in life as they climbed, trying to reach for that American dream. In the spring of 2020, C and I had to support one of my little brothers with a big life decision. All of a sudden, everyone was like, when did you two get so close? Some started a conspiracy theory that I had a crush on C or that we had hooked up. Again, I explained that he is my brother and my soul sibling. C and I just have a mutual understanding of life and those that we love. We may not always agree with their life choices, but we show up and listen. During this time, the Black Lives Matter movement was reaching a new emphasis. C is a black male and I am a white female. I came to realize how white privilege shaped our life paths after two events. One, this winter I watched Chelsea Handler's documentary, Hello Privilege, It's Me, Chelsea. And two, explaining our feelings about the protests of Black Lives Matter in Columbus and the use of Trump 2020 flags on social media. I was explaining this revelation one day when the conspiracy that C and I were more than soul siblings started. Let me be clear. C and I have never dated, never been intimate, and I consider him my brother. To explain it, I have to start back at the beginning. In the summer of 1994, it was coming to an end, and I still hadn't finished driver's ed classes. I would be starting my junior year at 16 and still riding the damn school bus. My neighbor's dad would drop her and I off at our new bus stop. We were starting at the Career Center. The bus was packed. She knew some kids who gave her a seat. I went row to row, making eye contact, hoping to get a seat. One black guy said, "Get out of here, white girl. No one's giving you a seat." Others started laughing. I turned around, looking up, trying not to cry. My neighbor, who was black, stood up and said, "Hey, don't do that. Here, sit with us." The laughing stopped. I'm not sure if she ever realized how grateful I was, but in October, I finally got my license and we no longer had to get on that overcrowded bus. I was able to drive my neighbor and I to school in my used little old car. During this same time, I met C, as he was preparing to become a father. My older sister, Tiffany, showed up in the summer of 1994, after not hearing from her for over a year. She was about 5 months pregnant. She said C was the father. Everyone was worried because C was black. The Rodney King riots had affected all of us. Black and white tension soared in Columbus during that time. Just 2 years prior, it was an awakening time for me as a young, naive white girl who, due to desegregation, was bused across town to attend a traditionally black high school. I already knew many white and black kids, like my neighbor, who would be attending too. My mom was worried because she doesn't drive freeways and didn't know how to get to the school. My 8th grade counselor let my mom and I, in our car, follow her to a meet and greet night. That day, my mom said, "It's people's character that matters, not the color of their skin." The school had everyone reading Black Like Me by John Howard Griffin. We had conversations about the race issues that John brought up. Thus, I was surprised when so many of my family members were uneasy with Tiffany having a baby with a black guy. My uncle recognized C as one of the high school basketball players that went to school with Tiffany. Tiffany attended the high school where we used to live with my uncle in the rich hood, but she didn't go her senior year and ended up dropping out. That's why it had been over a year since we had heard from her. I don't remember C being around when Tiffany first started hanging out with the wrong crowd and cutting school. My parents bought a small car so that Tiffany could get us kids places, including her waitress job. I remember she started dressing up like Mariah Carey fancy and said she was making money dancing. My parents regretted not making her pay towards the car. She told me that I was lucky to be smart in school and didn't have to worry about being beautiful. I really didn't understand what she was talking about. C was very quiet and polite. He explained to my uncle that he was unable to play college basketball due to an injury. He was working and living with some other guys who were just out of high school when Tiffany and her friends started hanging out. C and Tiffany said they were moving into a house just a few blocks away to get ready for the baby. We helped move them into the double, which is half a house. The other half was being rented by their friends. Even though it was just a few blocks away, it was on the busy street, city street, and not secluded like our house on a side street. A public bus stop was out of town, a public bus stop was out front. So we entered from the alley around back. At night, the prostitutes came out and sat on front porches, so it was best to not slow down or park out front anyway. Tiffany would sleep all day because she worked at night dancing. C would be up, he did the cleaning and cooking. I was taking classes for child development because I wanted to be an elementary teacher. I remember the week the baby was coming, like it was yesterday. I was so excited to watch the baby and tried to look for all the things that I was learning about. Tiffany said I could be in the room when the baby was born. It was Tuesday of Thanksgiving week when she went into labor. However, she had some complications and the baby didn't come until early Thanksgiving Day. C was there the whole time, just doing whatever she demanded. She was grouchy and in a lot of pain. I remember watching the nurses washing our new baby boy. I was so excited. C had picked out his name. My mom convinced him to switch the middle name to the first name. Baby Will was over 9 pounds and very healthy. Tiffany was still in pain and very tired when the nurses handed him to her, and she said, "Oh, he's black. I mean, I didn't know he would be that black." This was one of those times when C and I made eye contact with like that what look on our face. Later, I said to her, "Tiffany, you do realize that C is dark complected, so I think that overtakes any of the white he got from you," referring to what I had learned in science about genes from parents. My aunt said, "Well, God just overbakes some babies." C and I made eye contact again, like, what? This was the first time I began to realize prejudice and racism within my own family. I think C had experienced it before. He was adopted by a rich white family when he became orphaned in middle school. Baby Will and I had a bond from the start. So I'm going to stop there. And I don't know, like, I've written some more. You know, this story is going to go more into C and I, and not really the other people, like how we've stayed in contact over all these years. But, you know, I don't know. So this, I don't know what this is the beginning of, but I'm excited. This has, helped me during this time, bring some closure to some emotions and things. I'm putting a lot into my thoughts on my life experiences with race and racism. I'm actually adding new curriculum as a teacher this year, children's books that teach anti-racism, and just trying to change the narrative, and hoping that things can in fact be different this time. Then, you know, after the Rodney King riots, you know, and I was a young person back then, I had thought that things had gotten different, but things, I think, just became a little silent. And then, unfortunately, with Trump becoming president, a lot of things came back out in the open. And I don't know how other people cope, but writing and journaling, you know, my faith, this is what's on my heart, and this is what I've been doing. Have a great day.